Hey, what is up YouTube? Kolst here, and I'm here with a very special video because I'm launching a new program which I'm going to be talking about here. So, reason for doing this, there isn't a lot of original arena content, frankly, beyond gameplay. I'm sure you've noticed as well, and I wanted to open up something to give back to viewers, but also supporters of the channel. I wanted to make this program where we start doing some game and draft reviews submitted by you, and I talk about it, look for things that you could improve or do better, just things that may have been things to think about, kind of being like somewhat like coaching, but I just don't really want to do like coaching because the timing and stuff, my schedule is weird, so this is what we're going to be doing right now. This is a pretty new thing. I have done some draft reviews in the past, actually, like 7 months or so ago. I'll link one of those up here so you guys can get one of those examples. I'm also adding the option to do a game review. So the idea with either of these, you'll have to do it through my Discord, which I will link in the description. Essentially, you'll just have to upload the game or the draft via something. Like, it's preferable to use something like, for example, Hearthstone's drafting tool for a draft, or you can record a video of it using OBS or something and then upload that to a YouTube video, which you can post and link to me. Or for a game, it would be much preferred that you actually use a replay file, such as through HS Replay or Firestone, one of the deck trackers. And you can do that through the Discord. I'll have more details. If you join, there'll be a channel like review submissions that you'll be able to link to there. And as a special for launching this program, I'm going to be opening up to everyone. I will try to make sure everyone can get one. Please only submit one for the time being. I won't 100% promise I can give one to everyone. I honestly have no idea how many people are going to sign up for this. If I get like 50, I probably won't be able to do everyone, but I will do my best to try to make sure everyone can get one. On an ongoing basis, I will leave it open for submissions. I'll try to allow some of them to continue to be gotten through that channel as well, but it will be more of a benefit for supporters of the channel on an ongoing basis, for either Twitch subscribers or for YouTube members, people that have joined the channel. Currently on both of those platforms, I have 3 different support levels, and the way I have it right now is that at the base level, you'll get priority for submissions. I'm not going to 100% guarantee one. I would expect that you probably would get one pretty often, frankly, because I don't anticipate that many people utilizing this, but I don't want to end up having to like take anything away from what I've promised. So right now I'm being very conservative, but you will be able to potentially redeem multiple per month, just depending on whether or not I get to it, essentially. At the higher levels, though, I will actually guarantee 100% guarantee reviews will be done. At tier 2, I will guarantee 1 review per month, and you will get priority on more. And at tier 3, I will guarantee you get 4 reviews per month, and then you also get priority. So with that, I'm definitely excited to start doing this. And oh, by the way, all of these reviews will be uploaded on YouTube, and that is the current plan right now. Depending on how popular they are for being viewed, frankly, I may make them unlisted, but currently they'll be public. If you want to not be public, by the way, if you want to submit anonymously or be anonymous in the video, just you can put a note in the Discord for that if you just don't want your name to be attached to it. But in any case, as I mentioned again, if you want to check out like what a draft review would look like, you can check out one of the earlier videos I did with that, but I'm going to jump now into a couple game reviews. I'm going to do one full game review kind of and one partial game review because frankly one of the reviews there was just less to talk about, so it's more like a partial review, but the first one will be a full game review. So let's get right into that. First one I have here, actually both of these are from Ugbog, channel supporter and very active community member. To give an idea, the first one we have here is featuring a demon hunter. This actually looks like a very good demon hunter. As you can see from the deck list here, you have 2 Eladari studies, 3 wolves, effectively 4.2 wolves per deck. Very good looking deck, particularly some weaker cards in the middle, however, but obviously, wolves are what carries this class, so that's the important thing. But we do have a warrior. You can kind of guess how this game might go already, but I'm going to just let this play really fast. And then we're going to talk about what happened in this game. So he has a greedy partner as well. Very good feature for being able to coin out the wolves potentially. It's a little bit weird because the wolf is a little bit hard to actually play. He's going to have to play the whelp on the left side unfortunately does not get a midnight whelp. Meanwhile, the opponent is doing things that are not very kind, discovering a Flame Reaper. That is going to be a disaster. I should probably technically hide these, but I'll hide these cards. So you want to be very careful when you make, these kind of, whenever you're judging things. This is a very unfortunate thing that's happening, having someone just happen to be able to answer the wolves like that. You want to be careful not to use too much hindsight, not to just say like, it's like in poker, for example, you say, oh, I had a 2-7 offsuit. You don't want to be, as we're getting Flame Reaper here, I should have all-ined, I should have taken a 1% to win, because it would have worked this time. It's like, you want to be careful not to do that. You want to make the right play, not necessarily the one that just would have happened to win you that game. You want to be a little careful not to overuse hindsight. But in this case, this is just a tragic game. There are going to be some moments that I think could have been done differently that may have impacted the result, but this is a tough one because getting a Flame Reaper like that is just really nasty. But we'll talk a little bit about what might have been possible in this case, because now there's a whole bunch of armor gain. Got him pretty low due to the early pressure, but just this Minotaur is going to be very brutal. The Flame Reaper is able to keep a charge here, which is going to be a important detail that I'm going to talk about later, but the Inquisitor comes out here to knock off the armor, but I believe this is the lowest he's going to be able to get this warrior, is he's going to keep playing more taunts, gain more armor, and the Mulligan comes out here to try to steal a taunt Discover, getting a Cho'Gall, interestingly enough. But unfortunately, that is going to be, as I mentioned, the end of the pressure. Another Armadillo comes out, and there's not really... He does actually have an answer for this one, but that's going to be the last answer he has. The next wolf here is not going to be outcastable. That means he can get removed for free, and there's just absolutely nothing for this Armadillo, and that is the end of the game. So with that, let's go back to the very beginning and talk about the Mulligan. I think I do like this Mulligan here. It's a little bit weird to have the wolf that far on the right, but I do like keeping wolves in Mulligan if you have, especially if you can guarantee, I should say, that you can actually have it outcastable on 6 or even on 5 on coin potentially, or 5 with Greedy Partner. I do like it. This is not like the best hand to keep, but in this case, I think I do agree with it. You could argue for just tossing something, but I don't know. It's like you need a 2 for the Greedy Partner, so this works. I do think I agree with this Mulligan. There's a reason I have a very specific guide that for mulligans are very undervalued as a thing, because a lot of the times there are games that just kind of end, and the Mulligan is the one really big decision you could have made that would have changed things. So that's a very underrated thing. So with that, we're going to jump into the next decision. I think I do like the decision to coin a Greedy Partner just to try to get these things out of hand. The one reason you would not want to, if you had like slightly less on the left side of the wolf, you would have potentially been able to not coin it and even get the wolf out on 4, but that just wasn't possible with this hand. And now here's the first play I really don't like here, is this turn 3 play. So obviously, I mean, it's pretty obvious that it's pretty awful to take these kind of trades. And anytime you have a wolf with Illidari studies, this is an important thing, is to think about how you can potentially combo them. So you actually have a much cleaner way of dealing with this board situation here that actually still allows you to get a mana cheated wolf out. And what you would do here is you can go Warblades. You could just Warblades, but what you can actually do, because of the Illidari studies and your curve here, you have Warblades coin hero power on this turn. And then next turn, you can play a 3, either of those 3s, and Illidari studies. So then you would actually be able to play a wolf on 5. You don't play whatever you get from the Illidari studies, even if it's a wolf, whatever. Sometimes you want to save the studies for a wolf to be able to get it. But in the case that you have a wolf on the left side of the hand here, you can actually play it. You just play it preemptively on 4 to prep this wolf. And actually, you have to play this. I said you could play either 3-drop, but you would have to play the wolf on turn 4. And you can do that with the studies to then play the wolf on 5. And that may have added a lot of pressure to this game, as if we move forward here. You see, he ends up having this big late game win condition. Again, be careful with how you use hindsight, but in this case, right, if you could have gotten that down a lot faster, then you still would have been able to get the wolf. And I guess I misspoke in that he still was able to get the wolf down on 5 due to coining it out, but you know, if you did it the other play, the Warblades would be out of your hand. You would just still had these 2/3s on the board, and that would just be additional pressure continuing to deal damage with the opponent, which would have really added up and added a whole lot of pressure. And the other critical moment here, kind of in the mid to late game, in the transition period here, is that this wolf, which is actually a little bit hidden because it's right behind me, this wolf didn't come out of the hand, and I think this wolf really needed to come out of the hand earlier at some point. There were 2 turns here. I don't hate this play because you have the Drake. It'd be better if you sequence correctly, but you have this play which does look really good in Flame Reaper, so I don't hate skipping the wolf here. It's still a good chance you can outcast it the next turn. But there is a point here where I think you have to realize that the wolf has a timing window. Like, it's very important to get out as soon as possible. And at a certain point, you have to play it because it's just not going to get better. And you have a pretty good opportunity here to set up a board that's going to be difficult to deal with, specifically on this turn. I think you maybe could have played it on this turn, but especially here, you could have done essentially an all-in play where there is again, there is a 1-drop on the right side of the hand here. You would have been able to actually play like the 1-drop and the Tar Creeper and the wolf. You put the Tar Creeper on one far end. You try to use the Battle Fiend to protect the wolf from the cleave. You take like this trade here and then you trade everything. It ends up they have like a Shield Slam and an Execute. Like, they would have been able to deal with that board. But as it was, you know, you can see, again, this is slightly hindsight, but you know, it's kind of expected at this point. If you don't play the wolf, just with where it is in your hand, it's going to be a while before you can even play it. It ends up actually not being a factor at all in this game, so that's not ideal. Anytime you lose with a big power card still in your hand, that's usually not ideal. So that's the big thing, is I think there's a missed opportunity here to get this wolf down, which would have gotten the 3rd charge of the Flame Reaper and some of the removal out, and then maybe the Inquisitor has a higher impact. Again, I don't know that it would have mattered in this game, but it would have given you a better chance. Because, you know, at this point, as it is on the late game board, you know, even if you could play the wolf, it's just not going to really help you as much anymore. So I think that those are the big missed opportunities. And for the second review, we'll go through this one a little bit faster because honestly, I think there's less to talk about, but there is one very critical moment which I'm going to go over. First of all, while we're here, we'll talk about the Mulligan. I do like this Mulligan because I don't think you want to keep like understated Curve, and Frost Strike's a big premium card. That's what you want a Mulligan for. So I like that Mulligan. Basically, this is another game where there's an aggro. He's a slightly more aggro deck. He's like an aggro Frost Knight, and his opponent is the most insane control priest you'll ever see. I'm actually just gonna breeze through this very quickly because, as I mentioned, this is just a game. I don't think there's a whole lot to talk about later on because this is just like the most insane fatigue priest you would expect to ever see. It ends up being the case where I'm just gonna literally breeze through all of this. But he has multiple Reskas, but his opponent never plays anything. He's just a fatigue priest. He's happy to sit back all day. The opponent ends up having multiple Reskas as well, but critically, he ends up having the Student of the Stars, which allows him to automatically win fatigue, and it ends up just being like nothing you could do at this point because he's running out of deck. He only has 2 cards. Like, there's just nothing he can do, right? There is, however, one critical moment here that I do want to talk about earlier on, because this would be the point, you know, if there's a long game like this, a lot of times by the end, there's nothing you can do, but there may have been something you could have done earlier on. And the point I actually think was the very big deal was on turn 4 here. That Discovery is fine, but that was the big thing I have an issue with, was this face hit with the Whelp Wrangler. Going face is nice, obviously, but you know, Priest's Heal, it's not that big a deal. It's not to say that like face damage isn't valuable, but taking value trades like this is actually very important still. Because what you can see ends up happening here, and it happens a lot with like 3 health minions, is they end up getting removed rather efficiently. And what that causes here is for him to use this critical resource, the Cyclopean Crusher, and then make it vulnerable to removal as well. Because this ends up getting removed, again, very efficiently by a Howling Blast, and then you just don't have that removal to deal with anything else. Essentially, if you had taken that value trade, you wouldn't feel pressured to play this card at all on this turn. you could have gotten the Scarab out, and it just makes the resource of actually having the option to remove something like that is a very big deal. And there would have been some turn where I think like maybe around like turn 7, maybe on this board, I don't know, he has like a Frost Strike in his hand, so maybe he wouldn't use it here, but also potentially around like, you know, turn 10 or 11 or so, like dealing with this board, just having that 6-7 rush would have really helped to just add a little bit more pressure. Honestly though, you look at it, I mean, the opponent had all these bottled Shade Leaves. Like, this is not a game that you would have actually been able to do anything realistically. But that's just one point I wanted to make about the resource management. You want to be, I think, a little bit more careful about how you use something like this, because you can use this as a tool to pressure potentially in the early game if you think your opponent doesn't have any removal, and you don't necessarily know what's in his hand. But I think you already knew he had a Shade Leaf at this point, so you know he's going to be able to remove it for 1. So that was the big thing here, is that I don't like the use of this card here. Other than that, though, again, like, this is just a game where they have inevitability. There's absolutely nothing you can do. But I just wanted to go over that there. And with that, that is it for this review. I hope that was really informative. Again, if you're interested in signing up for this program as well, again, I will try to make it so everyone can get one at least as part of launching this program. You can join my Discord, which is linked in the description of the video, and there will be information on how to sign up for it there. But with that, of course, as always, appreciate you all. Thanks a lot for hanging out. We see you guys in the next one.